An inverted roller coaster is one whose vehicles are actually beneath the track rather than above the track. These can be found at amusement parks all over the world, and the concept has been taken on by a number of manufacturers. In today's video, I'll be ranking my top 10 favorites I've had the chance to experience so far. A few caveats: of course, I've only ridden inverted coasters in North America, so until I get out to Europe and Asia, you won't be seeing any of those rides on this list. Also, there is a huge disclaimer I have here that I've not ridden Banshee at Kings Island. This is one of the largest and most acclaimed inverts out there, and is probably my highest on my to-do list, at least in the United States. Additionally, when I visited California's Great America last year, Flight Deck was getting a repaint, so I missed out on that one, but I don't think that's as big of a deal as Banshee. With those two as honorable mentions, all I have left to say is if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe, as it really helps the channel out. Thank you all so much, and let's dive into the list. These are the top 10 inverted coasters in the United States. Kicking things off is an underrated cloned model in my opinion. These are the Intamin Impulse coasters. Currently, I've ridden 3 of these: Possessed at Dorney Park, which is the standard model, 1 twisted spike, 1 vertical spike; Steel Venom at Valley Fair, same layout but has a holding brake; and the recently defunct Wicked Twister at Cedar Point actually had 2 twisted spikes. Even though there are minor differences, they generally felt pretty similar, which is a good thing in this case. These have some really powerful forces, great launches, and I love how each of them is a bit different from the last. Heading to New Jersey is one that I would have never imagined made this list, but it's actually Great Nor'easter at Maury's Piers. Now, if this layout looks familiar, it's because it is. This is indeed a Vekoma SLC. But what if Vekoma SLC had turned out to be? Because the park has taken amazing care of this ride. They've retracked the coaster, making it smoother, they've installed modernized trains with vest restraints eliminating headbanging, and there's plenty of near misses with the park's water slides. Honestly, the way I like to sum up this ride most is it isn't just good for an SLC, it's good period. I really can't say enough good things about it. Coming in at number 8 is Great Bear at Hershey Park, a B&M invert that deserves more love in my opinion. Sure, it has a short layout, and sure, it gets buried in the park's lineup, but that doesn't take away from the fact that this is a powerful ride. The inversions are whippy, the layout is fast-paced, and it has its iconic B&M roar. Seriously, Great Bear really is a great coaster. Now at number 7 is a ride that's a bit polarizing due to the fact that it's been cloned so many times, but Batman the Ride clones are still kick-ass inverts. These can be found at the majority of Six Flags parks around North America, as well as SeaWorld San Antonio in Texas, and no matter where I ride one of these, I'm floored over its pacing. These have non-stop elements, so many positive G moments, and you know you're in for a good time when it's hitting the brakes at full speed. Another B&M invert that I'd consider to be overlooked is Cedar Point's Raptor. You know, in a park with so many world-class attractions, I understand how this could be an afterthought, but I still think for what it has to offer, it's an underrated ride. It has a wonderful layout, one of the best Cobra rolls I've experienced, and it's still running smooth after all these years. After the big 4 at this park, I think I'd prioritize Raptor the most. Our next coaster is a bit of a sad one because it's actually no longer with us, but my ride on it was so memorable that I had to pay my respects. Volcano the Blast Coaster at Kings Dominion was easily the most popular ride in the park when it was around. And for good reason too. It was such a unique attraction built on the inside of this awesome man-made volcano, and it packed in some fantastic variety. The first half was more low to the ground with the launches and turns, but then you'd launch out of the volcano and you'd go through these slow, graceful inversions. It's really unfortunate that I'll never get the chance to ride this thing ever again, but as long as I'm an enthusiast, I think I'll always cherish the one ride I got on it. Spot number 4 brings us to a ride that fortunately is in operation. This is Afterburn at Carowinds. Man, what a ride this is. I was absolutely blown away by this coaster. It's actually pretty reminiscent of my number 1 invert, but I found it to be a little more forgiving between elements. Though for a length of 2,900 feet, they chose some of the best inversions they could have. I'd say the same about our number 3 spot as well, Alpengeist at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. This currently holds the record as the tallest, fastest, and longest full-circuit inverted coaster, and lives up to its stats, let me tell you. It has some of the most intense, whippy inversions I've seen on any coaster. This Cobra roll is probably the best Cobra roll I've ever experienced, and it's nearly perfect for the first 3/4 of the ride. It's just that after the mid-course brake run, the ride does take a turn for the worse, but I can still look past that and acknowledge the flawlessness of everything before the mid-course. Taking the number 2 spot is a ride that I was seriously contemplating whether it could be my favorite invert, and it's not one you'd expect either. This is Aftershock at Silverwood in Idaho, a ride that is just so unique, it's so intense, and it's so powerful. Those massive inversions are no joke. They whip your train so hard, and it is forceful, man. I think what really did it for me with this coaster is that the only time you get to catch your breath, you are climbing up these terrifying vertical lift hills. It's like this coaster shows no mercy whatsoever, and I absolutely love that about it. But I still have to give credit where credit is due and give Montu at Busch Gardens Tampa the number 1 title. This is a flawless B&M invert because it does everything Afterburn does well and cranks it up a notch further. The valleys and transitions are even more intense since they were dug into these trenches, and this especially applies to the Batwing element. I still think to this day this is the most intense inversion I've ever experienced between the jarring whip and heavy positive Gs. Even though I've ridden Montu quite a lot of times, I seriously never get tired of it, and I think that's ultimately why it's my favorite inverted coaster. But with that being said, I'd love to hear from you. What are your favorite inverted coasters you've ridden? Are there any you think I missed out on, or any that you wouldn't have put on your list? Let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, I'd also really appreciate it if you could leave a like and subscribe, because it really does help the channel out. Also, feel free to check out my Discord server that was created by a bunch of fans of the channel. A link will be in the description. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon. Bye guys.